Even though the month of August has been devoid of any major summertime heat, that could change as we round the corner into the weekend and beyond, finally seeing some summer warmth return to the forecast. Meteorologist John Burchfield here with this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter. If you're not already subscribed, head to WTOL.com/email and all of our streaming platforms, as well as YouTube, a source for climate-related information each and every week. So we're going to break down summer heat and when it is expected to return, also how long it may last, and the magnitude of the summer warmth that is expected here in Northwest Ohio and southeastern Michigan. Late this weekend into early next week is when we are expecting temperatures to spike to the upper 80s. Even several days pushing 90 degrees will be possible. After a relatively cool stretch of weather this week, it is going to turn warmer and muggier into the weekend. Not only here in the 419, but a good portion of the region is going to turn above average. Now that we're already in late August and we're looking ahead towards September, this sort of heat does become a bit more unlikely statistically. By the end of August, our average high temperature is down to 82 degrees, which is cooling off rapidly. Compared to the hottest days of summer, which feature an average high of 87, we do start to become a little bit cooler on average heading towards the month of September. So what does September typically feature? We're at that time of year where we're starting to see some changes in the weather, and some may view September as a crossroads between summer and autumn. Now, our average highs in September are still fairly mild. There is a good amount of change that happens over the course of the month. The average September high temperature is 77.7 degrees. Now, one of the things you've inevitably noticed this week is those cooler overnight lows. Our average low for the month of September is down to 55.1, and those cooler nights and cooler mornings out at the bus stop and driving into work do become a bit more commonplace as we round the corner into September. So where do we rank as far as the warmest months of the year on average? Well, not surprisingly, July takes the cake as the hottest month of the calendar year in Northwest Ohio and southeastern Michigan. That average high temperature surges to 86.5 degrees. Now, August is normally our second hottest month of the year with an average high of 84.1, although this August really has been devoid of any major and long-lasting summertime heat. June takes the third spot at 82.7, and September is still our fourth warmest month of the year. So even though you may think of September as the start of autumn, well, it does still bring some warmth. May is then number 5 and October is number 6 with an average high that is in the mid 60s. Now, across the country, there have still been some reports of very hot temperatures. Even though Toledo in Northwest Ohio and southern Michigan have not experienced that, in the last month over the course of August, over 6,000 record temperatures have been set across the United States, and that includes daytime maximum high temperatures and warmest overnight low temperatures. So over 6,000 of those. In comparison, low temperature records have been much less abundant, less than 2,000, and that is something we are noticing with climate change. Is yes, there are still cold temperatures. They're just a bit less frequent, especially when compared to those record highs that are over fourfold the number of that. Now, looking at the next couple of months and what you can expect as far as changes in the weather, needless to say, the dog days of summer are statistically in the rearview mirror. Average high temperatures peak close to 87 degrees from the start of July to the start of August. That average high is 86 to even 87 degrees. By September 1st, our normal high temperature is going to be down to 82 degrees as we start to round the corner into the fall season. October 1st really brings some change in the weather, and our average high temperature is going to be down to 72 degrees. October is a significant month of change that officially welcomes in some more classic fall time weather. Now, one of the other changes that you may be noticing as we're in the tail end of summer is those earlier sunset times. Sunset is now at 8:20 p.m. and that means that we are losing over 2.5 minutes of daylight per day. If you're watching this on Friday, that 8:20 p.m. sunset is a sign of what's to come over the coming months, and by the end of the month of August, sunset time just barely past 8 o'clock p.m. Here's a look at how sunset time changes over the course of the summertime season. We are losing daylight fast. At the start of August, we're still close to 9 o'clock p.m. Still not quite the latest evenings of the summer. We do peak at 9:12 p.m. for sunset time. By the middle of August, down to 8:32. By the start of September, sunset is going to be at 8:06. Certainly some darker evenings as the school year is well underway. Now, by the middle of September, sunset time is down to 7:42 p.m. as we lose daylight rapidly into the month of September. Here's a look at daylight plotted over the course of the calendar year. Of course, those longest days in late June where we have close to 15 hours of daylight. That's what that top line shows you. The middle line is 12 hours of daylight. We're still well past that. In fact, we're still past 13 hours of daylight. So we are here where that arrow points. Still some of the longer days of the calendar year, but that is going to go downhill quickly. And it's not just a linear drop. It kind of goes exponential as we head towards the month of December, losing 2 minutes and 35 seconds of daylight per day. And even though the weather forecast does feature the return of some warm temperatures, this loss of daylight is a telltale sign that autumn is right around the corner. Now, one other thing pertinent to sunlight that you may notice is the sun doesn't feel quite as hot this time of year, and that's because the rays become a bit less direct. During the summertime, the sun's rays are very direct. You may feel that overhead sun bearing down, and that has to do with what we call the sun angle, or how direct those sun's rays are. During autumn, the sun's rays are less direct, and it comes at more of a slant. In other words, those rays are striking you at a less direct angle, and they're not quite as hot and toasty as it is during the summertime. During July 1st, that is when the sun's rays are very much overhead. 71-degree angle is the direction of the sunshine. Now, you can think of 90 degrees. If you remember back in geometry class, 90 degrees is that right angle. 71 is fairly close to that. By September 1st, less direct rays of the sunshine at 56 degrees. Now, you still need to apply sunscreen this time of year, but it does go to show that even on a sunny day during late summer and early autumn, it doesn't feel quite as oppressively hot, and that has to do with the sun angle, which is already down about 15 degrees from the peak of the sunshine. So what can you expect as far as the long-range weather trend is going forward as we head towards the end of August and the start of September? Well, over the last couple of days, we've had cooler than normal conditions, and that is due to a persistent, pertinent low-pressure system over the eastern United States and the Great Lakes region. That's what we call a dip in the jet stream, or a trough, and that has ushered in some cooler Canadian air and also much drier air with lower humidity levels. Now, we are keeping an eye on what's going on to the southwest of us. This is a high-pressure area, or what's known as a ridge in the jet stream, and that is associated with above-average temperatures. Of course, this is only going to last so long. We've had temperatures that are a good 5 to 10 degrees cooler than average all week long, and it's inevitable that we are going to flip a switch and welcome back some milder temperatures. So this low is going to push off towards the Atlantic Ocean as the ridge, or high-pressure area, moves into the Great Lakes region. What that's going to do is it will increase temperatures substantially into the weekend. That bright orange color shows you warmer than normal conditions for much of the Central Plains and the Great Lakes, and even New England and the East Coast is going to start to feel a change in the weather that will be associated with this ridge. Looking towards a warmer pattern that is going to spill some milder conditions across much of the Great Lakes. That low over New England does try to drift back, or what we call retrograde, but it's really not going to have much of an impact on our weather as we see lots of sunny and warm days, and this pattern is going to bring us upper 80s to near the 90-degree mark. Next week, late August heat is on tap. The long-range weather outlook in this map takes us from August 26th all the way through August 30th. Above average temperatures are expected through the end of August, and even into the start of September, there is a good chance that we're going to stay above normal in the temperature department. Now, what about rainfall? Yes, we did have some pop-up showers over the course of the weekend, but this weather pattern, in addition to looking quite warm, is looking fairly dry as well. And we'll have the latest drought monitor every Thursday live on WTOL 11. And you can see that some of the Toledo Metro, including Lucas and Wood counties into southern Michigan, are abnormally dry and very much in need of that rainfall. We're going to keep you updated as we head towards the start of the fall season. It's getting close as we're in the tail end of August now and looking ahead towards September. You can head to WTOL.com/email for the latest Climate Friday newsletter and follow along on social media as we look ahead towards the month of September.